The hero quietly said that he understood what she was talking about. She said that this spell was very simple. The main thing was whether he could use it. It was time to show what he was capable of. The creature warned, "Be careful, otherwise the end threatens everyone." The girl replied that the boy would not allow this and would definitely cope with everything. The hero reset everything to 0. The man turned to the boy and said coldly, "You are no longer on our team." Rad stood, completely not understanding what was happening. The man kept repeating that he was kicking him out and that he was no longer needed. The hero could not understand why everything was happening so suddenly. The girl said that the man was cruel and burst out laughing. Another said that he should be surprised. He did not expect at all that he would be expelled. Shin said that she was against it, but calling the hero worthless, admitted that she felt sorry for him. We decided this together. It had already been 5 years since the man gathered this team. He took him from the shelter, since then served the team, tried to be useful, and even believed that someday he could become the one the whole team really needed. Moment when enthusiasm suddenly turns into contempt. He spoke with bitterness. All this happened because he is of no use. The man began to explain how everything happens with them. They usually go ahead and fight. Other girls help from afar with their magic. Another girl can protect them from the undead and sometimes heals. The hero did not doubt for a moment. He understands everything because he himself invented this tactic. The man said that in Vanguard, the hero can neither fight nor use combat magic. He only stands in the rear and deals with useless auxiliary magic. Tran said that this guy is worthless and of no use. Rudd replied that maybe he is not perfect, but without him nothing would have worked out. And then the man called him a fool and added that now he only causes problems. He said that anyone can carry luggage and show the way. The boy thought, this is not the kind of help he meant. The hero smiled and admitted, although I am not a master of auxiliary magic, someone has to do it. Ahead is the dungeon, which will require considerable strategy, and they definitely need someone who can manage actions from the rear. His former comrades proudly boasted that now they have a high rank and can easily pass lower-level dungeons. They did not even guess how useful he is in battle, and the man assured that he can fight even without auxiliary magic. Rudd calmed them down. Don't worry. His auxiliary magic now works constantly. They said they don't need him, because he is just a freeloader. Moreover, he has already found you a replacement. From the next dungeon expedition, they have a contract to fight together with the new ally. The new partner is a real specialist, but you are still better than him. The hero was harshly told that he was not worthy to be on a team of such a level, and they added that unnecessary people are quickly weeded out here. And that's the norm. The guy thought that he didn't remember anything that would make people hate him, and even if so, there must have been some reason for it. Red said that his magic would be needed, and in the next adventure he would prove it. He could not just help. He had learned various types of magic for the team, and he still had a bunch of spells he hadn't even used. Yes, his comrade treated him badly, and he painfully understands this. He does not deserve to be with them. But the team is the only place where he ever felt like he belonged. Tran, who gave him shelter, like light, like the sun. The man said, "The conversation is over." He called that guy persistent and suggested to his friends to go to a restaurant. They had a reservation. The man replied that he would handle the team's tactics himself and achieve even greater success. The girl hopes that the hero will remember their kindness forever. Tranzed coldly said that he had cancelled the hero's registration as an adventurer. The guy whispered that he hoped not to regret it, and the man laughed and assured him that he definitely would not regret it. Although Red was upset, he was still grateful to him. He entered the room and simply could not believe his eyes. His former comrade sold all his things, and a woman greeted him. She barely held back sadness. He was in such a hurry to travel, and she would miss him because he was one of the few true adventurers in the city. The woman quietly said that she had gathered his things in the hallway. He did not want to remember it and wished that others would forget it too. He slapped himself on the cheeks and said that he must pull himself together. The hero said, "I am leaving." A thought flashed through his mind, to turn off the bracelet. It was the last magical item that he never sold because he always kept it with him. It helped Tran and their entire team. When they were still of lower rank, a group of bandits attacked them at night. He found the enemies with his magic, and only because of this did everyone survive. Since then, he constantly uses auxiliary magic for enhancement, and this magical item was created specifically to support strong mages. The boy took advantage of the release. He said that this time they were truly saying goodbye. The hero felt pain and instantly decided that it was due to a violation of the magical balance in his body. He had not encountered this feeling for 5 years. His body seemed to lighten, and his thoughts became crystal clear. He did not even suspect how much magic was bursting out of him. The boy felt wonderful. Rudd was not sure if his former comrades would manage without him, but he decided to stop thinking about them. Now he was no longer their partner. The hero said, "It is time to set out on the road." He raised his eyes to the sky and said with admiration that he had never suspected how beautiful the night sky was, because before he had always been sitting in the room studying magic. The boy realized with relief that now he would no longer have to do this. He didn't need to lock himself in a dark room. He didn't need to spend his last pennies on expensive magical books. Now he could use most techniques and didn't have to go with the team. Here it is, exactly what he so passionately desired. The boy decided that from now on, he would live as he wished, go wherever he pleased, buy and eat what he liked. He planned to earn money, engage in his favorite activities, and live for himself. But first he needed to leave the city. The girl smiled and warmly said she was glad to meet everyone, then introduced herself. She said she was a support mage and was joining the Golden Rose squad. Paf couldn't believe that an entire restaurant was rented for her welcome. She sincerely thanked everyone. As a support specialist, she had learned to instantly sense who was capable of what in a fight. She called it an aura. The girl thought she had never before seen such an atmosphere around people. She wondered if she could stay among such influential people, as she was not sure if she could cope at that level. But when she was told they were counting on her, she replied that she would try to do her best. Just a minute ago they looked like ordinary C adventurers, but now they seemed like experienced adventurers, A or even B rank. At first she thought they were simple travelers, but now she was sure something was wrong here. Even if they used all the support magic, abilities could not be raised to the circus level, and applying it simultaneously to all four was even more impossible. The hero said that traveling at night and using light magic was indeed a good idea, and the road to the Empire would take him about a month. On this boundless continent, 3 main territories are spread out. The most important places where people live are the High Sky and the Empire, which is called the Human Kingdoms. The only problem is food. If we divide the supplies, it will last for 3 days. According to the map in your head, a little to the southeast there is a small forest. There you can get meat or catch fish. You wondered if everything was okay with his former comrades, although you should have stopped thinking about it long ago. Suddenly the boy heard a cry for help. He took advantage of the acceleration and the push of the wind, but a thought flashed through his mind. It was already too late. The hero saw how the robbers attacked the wagons and all the guards were already dead. They were killing people with impunity for profit, so the hero was not going to show them mercy. He put into action magnets, storm magic, fixation, windblade, and a combination of spells. The robbers rushed to flee from him. It was his first spell, and how powerful it turned out to be. For the first time, he truly used that offensive magic he had only read about before. At least now he was safe, and immediately began to look for those who survived. It was a wagon with people. And he said, now everything is fine, because he had already dealt with the robbers. However, it seemed that not everything was going smoothly. Some had already died, and one girl was bleeding. If she was not saved, she would also die. The boy asked her to calm down and promised to help. He had not used restorative magic for a long time. The hero activated his ability, and instantly felt his strength returning. He turned to his ability to see the future. The boy realized that she had continuous problems. Even with her health, her internal organs were damaged. These were no longer fresh wounds. She had been in this condition for a long time. She had accumulated a lot, so it was necessary to cleanse the body and restore her strength. And at hand there was only that cursed water. You can clean everything at once, steam and wash, but the clothes were already completely ruined. You had to try to save them by a miracle. The girl looked like a wolf. She did not understand that not only the body was healed, everything else was restored as well. Since the hero had not used magic for a long time, he was overwhelmed by fatigue. Rudd could not get rid of the doubt. Had he really prepared his troops well enough? The girl quietly thanked him, and the boy smiled and replied that he did it not only for her, but also for himself. His gaze fell on a mark on her chest. He had never seen anything like it before. The girl got scared. The hero stood embarrassed, not understanding what had happened. She apologized and, trembling, explained that she thought he wanted to hit her and was very frightened. She begged him not to hit her, assured him that she would obey and would not even think of running away. A raised hand for her was like an alarm bell. His magic can heal bodily wounds, but is powerless against pain in the soul. The hero embraced her and whispered that everything was fine, and he would not harm her. He said that now she was safe, and everything was all right. When he hugged her, warmth spread through her body. She said that she had already calmed down and apologized for putting him in an awkward position. The hero impatiently asked what had happened, and the girl replied that she herself did not understand. Suddenly some group of people attacked them, and when they saw them, the truth exploded. Everything was not as they had been told, and they began to do bad things because the robbers had their own goal. The girl thanked him again and asked his name. The boy introduced himself. In response, she introduced herself. My name is Sue. If they stay there, the bandits might return. He decided that the cart could be restored with magic, so he used it. With the help of earth magic, they can dig a simple grave. It is necessary at least to bury those who died. If this is not done, their fate will become even worse than now. There was so little time that the boy decided at least to make a mass grave. It was the least he could do. He said that they had no horses, but it was possible to try to move it with magic, or he himself would summon the magic of the wind and spin the wheels. The girl whispered whether he would continue to be by her side. The girl asked, "Allow me to be near him." The boy was sure that no man could refuse such a beautiful girl if she looked just like that. At first they treated him as if he were a servant, and then they brought him to a shelter, like an abandoned child. Then the train took him away, and since then everything has been erased. He no longer remembers being in the shelter. All memories of it have disappeared, and he does not know where that shelter is or what he did there. They clearly wanted to make sure that he definitely could not escape. Even if he found himself in the most difficult place, he would have nowhere to run. But the suffering did not disappear. Such feelings never pass without a trace. The girl apologized to him and whispered that she was weak, helpless, and not beautiful at all. The heroine admitted that she was wrong. Sue began to ask where she got those clothes and whether they suited her, and the boy replied, "You look very beautiful." He felt that some mysterious beauty lived in this girl. If not for the shackles on her hands, no one would have guessed that she was a servant. Her shyness and slight capriciousness enchanted him. He thought that he liked exactly girls with a wild nature. This was his first experience communicating with such a girl, and he felt a desire to protect her, whereas he hardly communicated with ordinary girls. She began to ask him to go with her, but he had to refuse. The boy replied that he liked being free. He could not take responsibility for someone else's life now, so he wanted both of them to be free. And now this girl was no longer anyone's property. She could live like an ordinary girl. Sue said she would become his because she wanted it herself. The boy began to apologize, saying that he did not mean that. The girl said she was very glad to have met him. The hero resigned himself and whispered, asking her to take care of him. The carts could be used as tents. It was good that they had somewhere to spend the night. The boy suggested eating and asked what she preferred more, meat or fish. The girl replied that she only ate bread and milk, and the hero thought that was very sad. He suggested, "Let's try both options." Rudd thought that she probably believed he would be offended if she did not help. The boy said coldly that she could go with him, but he would not allow her to help. The shackles on her hands bound them together and clearly showed that she was a servant. No outsider can cancel this contract. Even if the one who made it died, it does not remove its power. Usually such contracts are only held by representatives of the nobility, and if it is found out that someone canceled it, it will be considered a crime. He violated the terms of the contract. The main character decided, from now on he will live as he wishes. The formula of dark magic fiercely tried to destroy him. This contract is incredibly powerful. It was probably created not by one person, but by a whole group. No ordinary mage could break it except for himself. He was a mage in a ranked team. He knew everything. How to disarm traps and remove curses in any dungeon, found new paths for friends, and always came to help. In short, he was a true professional in this matter. The girl could not contain her admiration. It was incredible, because she was told she would never be able to remove them. Red told her not to worry. She was going to help him, so her hands had to be free. The girl said that he not only removed the shackles, but also healed her diseases and wounds. She was whispered to that it was incurable, like a curse, and even priests had lost hope. And she was left alone in the middle of the village. The hero gently ran his hand over her head. She enthusiastically told that the boy gave her nice clothes, saved her from bandits, and she called him her savior. He replied that he was just a mage, and the girl added that he was so cool that it seemed unreal. She asked him, be a true companion to her. She is to be shackled, exchange blood, mix their magic, and carve the seal of the contract. This will mean that she swears to obey him forever. The boy knows how to do this, but does not want to have her close under such conditions. He apologized and said he cannot agree to that. The Beastman has his own special culture. As far as he knows, a kiss on the forehead is considered a kind of sign of friendship, and the hero says that he likes this attitude much more. He asked her if she liked it, and she replied, "It's wonderful." Sue asked why she got such a big promotion. The guy said that she has an unusually interesting way of thinking. She asked if she could do the same in this situation. The main character agreed. He thought, she is shy. Kisses here were a usual part of the culture. But the girl did not kiss him on the forehead. She only said that this was her answer. She asked him, take care of her. He read a bunch of books but still does not understand what is what. For example, every people has its own traditions, and even kisses between boys and girls can have completely different meanings. A kiss on the forehead usually indicates cautious courting. Likewise, kisses between boys and girls convey certain signals to each other. When a girl kisses a boy, it often means that ultimately she is ready to give him everything. He whispered that the rank A dungeon is a cursed level where a fierce dragon lives. The man said he had drunk too much, and his friends agreed with him. One girl's magic completely got out of control. She admitted that she had no strength at all. Everyone wondered how they could get so drunk from such a small amount. Tran thought that they had been poisoned with some kind of toxin. He resolutely said that when they deal with the dungeon, he would blow this restaurant to smithereens. He said to his friends, "You can't stand still forever. It's time to head to the dungeon." Comrades agreed with him. The man involuntarily thought that their new female colleague was also hungover, but she immediately denied it and suggested not going to the dungeon today. She said that it was better not to go down to the dungeon today, but Tran only asked, how was he supposed to understand that? The man thought that she was just like the one they had recently kicked out, and briefly warned her. Don't make me angry. She was an assistant, so she understood the situation and saw their power. She called it an aura. Trans just said that it was cool. Paf replied gloomily that they were not in the best shape right now, and their combat strength had significantly decreased. She said they were approximately level B. The man laughed and said that she had strange jokes. The girl also laughed and added that she found it funny to look at their serious faces, and they decided that they could not be so weak just because of a hangover. Paf said, I understood all this myself, and this usually happens very rarely. Yesterday, when she first saw them, incredibly powerful auras emanated from them. She had never encountered such a level of strength in a guild before, but now everything was different. If they went to the dungeon in this state, there would be losses. The man thought, if even she, a specialist in providing assistance, says so, then his situation is much worse than he imagined, and now it is unlikely that he will be able to fight as before. He said, they cannot not go, and if they postpone it to another day, nothing will work out. The man insisted that it had to be done today, otherwise the kingdom would not make it in time, and honestly warned that the task was not easy. This is a test of their skills, so he told his comrades to prepare and warned that failing the trial due to a hangover is unacceptable for the C-class, and the friends agreed with him. The girls tried to stop them, but the man waved them off, saying they had no time to talk with her, and she was just a hindrance. She apologized for saying too much during the day, and the man replied that she would understand everything later. The adventurers released a fireball and, without hesitation, used the ability to transform into undead. The man delivered a side strike. He was best at that. The hero said that he was expelled from the guild, but the girl did not believe it, since she considered him very strong. The boy replied that his team was not too good, just excellent. Ranks range from the lowest, E, and rise up to the highest, SSS. Once there was only one single elite team of rank SSS. True legends who once defeated the Demon Lord. Now there are only 3 such teams, and in rank C there are officially only 7 groups recognized. There are almost none among those who have a high rank. This honorary title is given only to the chosen, and the girl bitterly said that it is unfair. She called him wonderful, strong, amazing, and kind, said she had never met anyone like him, but unfairly said that he was supposedly not good enough. In fact, they were mistaken. For the first time, someone really got angry at the hero. A strange feeling spread through him, and it pleased him. He said that this was rank, and they were all much stronger than him. It is quite possible that they are right now in the dungeon of level C. He said that now, since he has her, he no longer needs to think about others, and he thanked her. The guy admitted that he overdid it a bit. They arrived exactly where they needed to, in the city of the Empire of Roland. The hero said that he wants to become an adventurer again. But here this time. The girl asked, do you want to go on a trip once more? The boy replied, I want to, but I'm not sure if I can. Sue said confidently, he will be able to, and will definitely become the best traveler. She was always his support, and although it was not magic, this support truly gave him strength. Perhaps she even knows how to do it better than him. But this time he will manage on his own. The man doubted whether they were on the right road. He felt they had been here before. The girl replied that they were probably going where they needed to go. He began to reproach her that they were lost, but they still had to clear this dungeon today, where it was very dark. She asked to light the way a little, and the girl replied, I can, but then I will use too much magic. She said passionately that the other girl should also help win, but she is too slow, and she replied that she is just a bit out of shape. The man added that he himself is not in the best shape either. He admitted that he was not sure if he could do anything, but still had to try. Everyone immediately supported him and promised to hurry and show the way. It was not worth wasting time on a road teeming with monsters. She was sure that this was the right path. Puff was supposed to become the new auxiliary mage of the squad, and even receive an official title. But she saw neither coordination, nor role distribution, nor a clear plan. It looked more like a hastily assembled team of novices. They were already on the 4th level out of 13. The deeper you go into the dungeon, the stronger the magic and the more dangerous the monsters, and the girl could not shake off her anxiety. For now, the main enemies are zombie goblins. They are the weakest among rank B monsters, and a rank C mage can easily deal with them even using rank E spells. The man said he did not need help and asked me just to watch how the fight with that enemy was going. She thought Tran could afford to relax. He seemed calm, though he was fighting 2 zombie goblins at once, but even one extra creature in the middle of the battle caused confusion. He was able to win only thanks to her magic. The magic was powerful, but it was hard to believe that this was her main skill. Her fireball did not at all resemble the incredible power she supposedly possessed. Her eyes did not lie. The true strength of these people was only B level. She was amazed at how they managed to earn the title of Circa, but now it no longer mattered. If they did not retreat while the danger was still small, defeat was inevitable. They will mercilessly wipe them off the face of the earth. The hero stood next to the girl in front of Roland's Adventurers Guild. Everything around reminded him so much of his old city that he felt strange. The worker greeted them. "How can I help?" she asked. "I would like to register as a new adventurer," Era replied. The girl smiled and said she would take care of his registration, introducing herself as the guild secretary. The hero introduced himself, and Enon asked if the girl also wanted to join them. Sue calmly replied she did not need to register. The men at the table misunderstood the situation. The hero began to worry about what awaited him in the future. Ian Nan firmly said that everything needed to be prepared for registration, and asked him to first fill out all the necessary information in a special form. At first, they asked to enter name and age, and he was terribly nervous. One of the men asked the girl if she was lost, and coldly said that people like her had no place here. The hero said he was a boy, and the stranger apologized and added that he was too thin to understand immediately. The man smiled. "If you look closely, this boy is quite handsome." He offered to find him a better job than being an adventurer. Red sharply replied that he should mind his own business and be quiet. The man sharply called him an ignoramus. He said that adventures are a matter for real men, and there is no place for thin and weak ones. He was annoyed to see someone who, in his opinion, was worthless. The hero turned to the girl, smiled, and said that everything was fine. Then he asked the man to return his thing because he had not finished writing yet. "Try to take this," said the stranger, adding that travelers must be strong. The boy sighed and remarked that adventurers are the same everywhere. Wherever he came, it was always the same. The man was angry at him. He lunged at the boy. Physical strength, endurance, flow of magical energy. All this indicated that his combat skills were somewhere at level B. He advised him to be more cautious and choose opponents more carefully. Although he was expelled, he still remained a former member of the Class C team. Physical enhancement gave him crushing blows, so even without a team he could handle a Class B opponent. The man said he was attacked unexpectedly. Red shrugged. He was just a mage and did not control all curses, but he could still use a few of them. The man decided that the hero was just mocking him. He thought, if this boy got back on his feet so quickly thanks to his endurance, then he probably belongs to the best in Category B. The hero grimaced. With such a level, even if you swing your fists all day, you still won't get out, but he wouldn't refuse you. The man began to shout, demanding to be released, but the other asked him to be quiet and promised to let him go as soon as he finished his business. He apologized to the girl and asked if she was scared. She answered calmly, "Not at all." Now it became a bit noisy, but no one else would bother him. The man began to shout and beg to be released. It was too loud for the hero, so he moved away into the silence and took advantage of it. They said he hit incredibly fast. It was a thrilling spectacle, and he was considered very strong. The heroes began to discuss the situation heatedly. The boy thought that some strange company had gathered here. The hero delivered 3 blows and even activated physical enhancement, and the girl said that he needed to be looked at more closely. A few hours ago, in the cursed lair of the terrible dragon on the 5th level, the girl said she needed to rest a little. The man replied that he did not want to rush and needed to look at the map. The girl added that she was tired and asked for time to restore her magical power. Paf was sure that now everyone understood what trouble they had gotten into, so she suggested retreating. The man simply refused. His comrades said they had not even reached halfway, and the real work was just beginning. The girl did not understand where they got such confidence. Trans firmly announced that from now on he was lifting the ban on auxiliary magic and was counting on it. They asked her to watch over them. Their curiosity drove them. How much could she help them? They offered her to work together. She had no idea how many hopes they had placed on auxiliary magic. For her, the bar was too high, like the top of a heavenly tower. She said that her help alone would not be enough, to which the man replied that she was too modest and reminded her that she was a high-level specialist. And they also asked her to carry the luggage and make the lighting brighter. Paf thought. She did not know at all what auxiliary magic was and did not understand why they asked her to carry luggage or show the way when it was impossible to handle everything at once. This magic was so complicated that she wondered why so few mages used it. They asked her to speed up and connect additional strengthening magic and foresight magic. She had been saving her strength until then, so now she had enough magic in reserve for lighting and auxiliary spells. They talked about their old friend, asked the girl to do the same, assuring that he had done so at first. And the girl replied that she could not handle such a pile of tasks. Paf did not understand who was being talked about. The man said they needed to move on. There was no time to rest. She was given the same map the boy had used. All the luggage was handed over to her to make it easier to see. And they also slipped her a flashlight for illumination. She believes she knows little but can gradually expand her skills. It is hard to imagine how to use all three elements at once: fire, water, and light. And on top of all this, these words almost brought her to tears. Too much was demanded of her, although she had already explained that she also has her limits. They whispered to her that the main hero did all this and did not even complain. She did not understand who was being talked about. He used many different types of magic, and all were extremely complex, especially if applied simultaneously. She simply could not comprehend it. This is already the 6th level, and the magical power has become noticeably stronger than before. It really was a dungeon. It was called the Cursed Lair. A gloomy atmosphere prevailed here, because this was where the real danger of the level A dungeons began. Every time she entered such a risk zone, she could not get used to the tension. Ahead stretched a simple street, and they decided to continue along it. They did not need the map, so they focused on the battle and tried to maintain a positive attitude. Le Man said that they were all serious and would do everything as simply as 2 times 2. Before them stood a huge main zombie goblin. They realized that this was the boss of this level. And now they had a chance to win. The man thought that luck was on their side today. The girl said that he thinks in a special way, sometimes even brilliantly, almost like a genius. But he is definitely not the main enemy, because here is that cursed lair of the fierce dragon, which means the dragon is definitely here, and therefore the boss here is exactly the dragon. In the middle of the game, the boss of the king level is the most dangerous among the rank A bosses. Even if you are rank A, in the worst case it will be very difficult for you to fend him off. They no longer even remembered the name of this dungeon, but it immediately became clear who was the main one here. The man said, "The time has come to clear the dungeon. All preparations for destruction are already completed." The girl did not believe it. They are not afraid of the king at all. She was sure that this was just a test, and everyone around was just pretending. They deliberately fought so poorly against the rank B fighter, just to see how she would cope. So when you join a C-rank squad, you are still tested. In other words, fear will lead to defeat. She replied that she understood everything and would do her best to become a good mage assistant. She suddenly remembered the words of an experienced adventurer from the guild. An adventurer needs not only to be able to fight, one must have a heart that does not give up even before the most terrible enemy, and the courage to look danger in the face. She is a true adventurer, loves to explore the unknown and never gives up in the face of difficulties. She is not afraid even of a stronger opponent. After all, now beside her are comrades of rank S themselves. The girl created a wall of light. It will not be easy to destroy it, but she will buy them some time. If he really is a zombie, light is not to his liking, so there will have to be a fight. They were all wounded. The man admitted that it completely caught him by surprise. He said that they have the necessary rank and will handle their duties, because it is their duty. They could not believe their eyes. The monster survived all their blows. The girl whispered that she was in great pain and had never been so badly wounded before. They asked Paf for help, and she assured that she was doing everything possible. When the battle began, she physically strengthened them, but she could not hold them indefinitely. The girl unleashed a bullet of hellfire. The healer sighed. She had no choice but to use her trump card. In her hands she held holy water. She released sacred light to cleanse. It was the loudest scream she had ever heard. The plan worked, but they failed to defeat it. They had to strike again, but the girl said she could not endure any longer. She thought that the holy water harmed it. It began to move slower. The girl whispered that this was their chance. and now was the best time to retreat. Everyone was severely wounded and could do nothing more. Now she understood. The man said that the previous mage was expelled because he could not keep up with the squad, but in reality he left on his own. The squad was too weak and too accustomed to his help. Review of the strategy for passing a high-level dungeon and the cursed lair of the fierce dragon. The clearing attempt ended in complete defeat. The girl apologized for making him wait. He replied that he had just finished filling out the form. She said she would check everything and there were no problems, but the hero asked to check one more person first. He isolated him because he was very noisy, and it turned out to be a Class B fighter. How she understood, he once was an adventurer, but for some unclear reason lost his license. She said, "Nothing strange, he really is very strong." She said that she was watching him, and even when surprise flashed in her eyes, the smile did not leave her face. He thought that she was doing great with the management. She said that she did not care what his previous guild was. Adventurers are always valuable for the Empire. The more of them, the better. People with any abilities are always welcome here. Even in GILs, not all volunteers are admitted. They have their own selection too. She smiled, said it was just a joke, asked not to worry, and assured that they had already registered it. The hero realized that her sense of humor was even better than he had imagined. She asked him to start the tests. There were two, for abilities and for competence, and the guy replied that he would try. Inan said, "It could have been done without this, but such are the rules." She asked if he could do tricks. The guy replied that he was a mage and also skillfully handled a ball. At first, they arranged suitability tests. Mages were checked using crystals. This is a magical artifact that plays with light when touched by a person with magical abilities, and the color and brightness of the glow show how much magical power is in them. Rad said, "I have only seen such things in books, but never encountered them in real life," the girl said, and at that moment he finally understood how it works. If the crystal showed sufficient magical power and abilities, it meant he had passed the test. Until now, he had no need to know about abilities related to the elements. There were types of magic that simply did not obey him. It made no sense to test them, so he reproduced them by other means, read books about magic, and over time learned to use all types. But sometimes he became so exhausted that he lost consciousness, or nearly died from terrible headaches. And sometimes his nose just would not stop bleeding. The girl said, "Let the magic act," and assured that the crystal would not break, so there was no need to worry. Einan whispered that this crystal could only be broken with the pure magical power of a great sage, the very one whom everyone considers the strongest wizard in the world. It would be cool if he could overcome this. The man decided that such thoughts encouraged him. No need to hold back. He could give it his all. "Let's begin the testing." The greatest wizard of all times and peoples, the sage Mondor himself, a hero also called the Holy Sword Cornelon. Both, heroes of the supercontinent era, considered legendary beings. They belong to the only historically super-powerful team of rank SSS, and he is sure that saying only this great sage can defeat him is pure exaggeration. He is so resilient that he truly believes nothing threatens him. He became curious how the sphere would react, so he sent some magic into it, and it turned out that it responded quite differently than he expected. The hero felt that he had too little magic. It was not enough to become a true adventurer. He was as stunned as the girl. He suddenly remembered her words. She said that he would never break this crystal. The girl made strange sounds, frowned and sweated, but a smile still played on her face. The boy decided that she was a true professional. The main hero apologized for breaking the ball, and the girl replied, "It's nothing serious. The ball was just old. We had been using it for a long time, so it got spoiled." She said in surprise that she had never seen anything like this before, and immediately asked if he had some special magical power. Long ago, when the sage destroyed him, they said that he exploded with dazzling light, like the sun, and supposedly even the chronicler was blinded by that glow. Now crystals are measured only with glasses to protect the eyes. Next, suitability is determined by the color of the light, but the ball did not light up. The hero felt that he was completely unfit for this role. Of course, maybe this is just a feature of his magic and there is nothing extraordinary about it, but the girl said that it was unfair. She assured that he knows how to use different types of magic. It is impossible that he has no abilities in at least one of them. Su is sure. He is the one who broke the crystal, and that means his magical power is even greater than the Great One's. He is confident in his tricks and in how much magic he can show. He drew magic from different corners of the world, but considers it an exaggeration to call himself stronger than the great sage. At least she knows that he can use magic. And if you think about it, it is quite complex and advanced magic. Perhaps the crystal did not work properly. It was cracked. It responds even to the weakest magic, so it is impossible for it not to glow at all. The hero is convinced that the real reason is completely different, but thinks it is pointless to explain. The worst thing is to be mistaken about one's own powers. She knows. He possesses powerful magic. His abilities are clearly unusual, and the strength of this magic is beyond doubt. It is extremely high. But if you think about it, greatness must somehow be shown. The imaginary magical power here is limitless. The girl said in amazement that it is impossible to measure. There are no limits, so the magic is boundless. The girl said, everything happened because she saw him well and can read people. The boy said with a smile that he does not doubt her abilities at all. She said that if they find any other magical items that can measure the strength of magic, they will try to do it again. So his measurements remain a mystery for now. Next comes the test of abilities. Here it is, the practical side of magic. Usually this is done in a special room, but his magic is unfathomable. So this time, for safety, everything will be conducted right on the street. The hero thought that she did not trust him. Maybe she was still angry because he broke 2 crystals. She prepared targets for him, so that he could test them. The meaning of this test is simple: to attack them with his magic. He can use any simple spells and choose any element, and if he succeeds, completely destroy them. The man clearly expected a completely different reaction. It seems he had seen something like this before. Confidence was readable on his face. It seemed she was just smiling, but her emotions were easy to read. They did not break so easily, because they were made of real golden slime. Golden slime. A rare, small monster of danger, level A. Its body shines with gold, and strangely, it is almost immune to physical attacks, although it does not have full immunity to them. Magic hardly affects it, but it itself can deliver very strong magical attacks. This strange creature is often talked about because it appears very rarely. Golden targets. Real pieces of golden slimes, so even destroying a rank C target without special skills is very difficult, and a normal magical attack almost does not penetrate them. He is truly invulnerable. She is sure that these enemies will definitely take revenge for the magic crystal. He understood that she was still tormented by the thought that he broke your crystals. The girl explained that this was just a test, to see if he could control his magic. It was perfectly normal that he did not break the item. No one had succeeded yet. The surface was covered with a special gel that reacted to magic, so the mark remained only where the strike was directed. It was a test of accuracy, not strength. To simply pass the exam, no special effort was needed. It was enough to direct a little magic. A better result could be obtained by adding power, but he could not harm her. She was offended even more than he expected, and it was painful for him to endure when his pride as a mage was touched. The girl said confidently, "This time nothing will break." The boy noticed her anxiety. It felt as if they had recently said something unpleasant to each other. "Here is a great opportunity to check how truly good he is, so don't hold back." She asked him about the staff. The hero answered quietly. He was not used to using this. He thought to himself, "This is necessary." The girl said, "This is not obligatory." Rudd replied, "Then as always we use our hands." Nan was even surprised. Why did he always do that? The main character thought deeply about which magic to use and finally decided to try something fiery. His former comrade was most skilled with fireballs, although, perhaps more precisely, with fire arrows. He cast a spell and now had to direct the magical power, simultaneously tuning it to the fire element and reshaping the form. He modified some techniques to enhance strength, even at the cost of precision. The changes in technique were completed, after which he applied several methods to compress the magic. The girl sensed something wrong and asked him to stop. "Fiery arrows hit the target directly," the girl asked with surprise. "What kind of magic is this?" The hero replied that it was just an ordinary fire arrow. She greeted him, and the boy apologized embarrassedly. The advantage was obvious. The blow turned out to be much stronger than he expected. Sue sincerely rejoiced for him. They brought out the hero and announced that they would now report the final result of the registration test. Usually she does this immediately on the spot. This time she was given special instructions. She knocked on the door and announced, "As requested, I brought a possible newcomer with me." The girl sincerely thanked him for participating in the registration test. She introduced herself. Savinia said that the hero had an unusual partner, and it sounded very interesting. But first she decided to talk about his achievements. She had never seen such results before, and the hero had never heard of them either. One thought was spinning in his head. Maybe she simply wouldn't understand this definition, and because of that he was nervous. She said that he passed the test, congratulated him, and added, "Now he is a member of the guild." Sue sincerely rejoiced for him. The boy thanked them. He felt a little uneasy, as if he was out of place. The girl said that he would start from E rank. She knows that we do our job well, but even having his own power, that's all she can do. The hero said he didn't mind. He had just arrived. The girl was happy because he understood everything. The secretary said she believed his skills already matched this level. Rudd said they were just adventurers, and he was also a former one. The girl said she wouldn't pry into his past, but she was counting on him a lot and eagerly awaited the chance to work together. Now that everything was finally over, he could decide what to do next. Near the guild entrance hung a board with tasks. The girl said she wanted to check everything herself. He asked if this was a continuation of her trial. She replied that he had already passed this special test, but the game required a reward, so if he won, she would give him something. The girl happily said that there was a cool group looking for a partner with an A level, and she could write a recommendation. The hero thought it was logical. He didn't know anyone in Roland, so he gladly agreed, and the man said he was ready to take the trial. They began to talk about the conditions. The girl said everything would be decided by one strike. She would attack him with a sword. If he managed to block the attack, he would win, but if she wounded him, she would win. The heroine said she had an advantageous position. She replied she wouldn't let him get bored. The girl places the sword to the boy, decisively says that the fight will start right in this room and asks to take the child out. But Sue shouts that she will not leave her lady and wants to see how everything will go. Savinia simply crouches as if ready to rush into battle, and tensely asks if they are sure that nothing will happen to the girl. After all, no one wants that. Road activates the magical power of the barrier with unwavering confidence. The guild leader admits the boy's magical power is truly impressive, but it is not enough to survive in adventures, and the hero still does not quite understand what it is about. She simply says that he looked at it with a crazy smile. She suddenly rushed towards the boy. He immediately reacts, stretches out his hand and tries to use magic, but nothing works. Rudd could hardly believe it. The girl used protection against magic. This barrier, which muffles magic like a blanket and quiets spells, is also called Mage Killer. Savinia only smiled smugly. She realized that she managed to confuse him. She wonders, how will the boy fight without his magic? He is stunned and sharply reminds her, "You promised to attack me only with a sword." As it turned out, at first the girl managed with only a sword. She tosses the boy upward and boldly commands, "Show your strength." After all, you never know what will happen next. That's the essence of adventure, says the girl with knives in her hands, suddenly throwing blades at his side. From such an unexpected encounter, he froze as if glued, standing motionless near the blades stuck in the ground. Analyzing her actions, he realizes she used a homemade trap. Colored threads, created to restrict the opponent's movements. Red feels that the girl wants him to just move forward. He tells her that all this is too complicated. Meanwhile, she swings the sword and shouts to the hero, "Don't you dare die!" Vinny simultaneously summons fire and wind, and the man already begins to think that she really wants to kill him. But this even helps the main hero. She untied his hands, and now he can also come up with his own ways of defense, taking example from Vinny. When he is suddenly attacked, Rudd swiftly raises a protective barrier. The girl presses her lips in surprise. The boy adapted to her attack so quickly that she can't wait to find out what else he is capable of. She makes another swing to strike him, but Rudd is in no hurry to give up. He tells her that she prepared too well, and then that bandit appears in his thoughts. The girl was breathing heavily from tension, but in her chest burned the desire to keep fighting and see more. The next strike came so quickly. Rudd was already breathing heavily. He suddenly became interested in why she was looking so strangely, so he decided to fulfill her wish and continue the fight. He reaches out his hand and feels the power of the wind and the strength of the earth in the sword. Savinia enjoys the fight and notices how the boy's magic adapts to her attacks. Red does not understand what is happening. Everything seems strange to him, but he thinks he already knows who will win. The rival is breathing heavily and again asks the boy to show how he adapts to her, and this slightly tensions him. Savinia simply loves to fight. He looks her straight in the eyes. She also approaches him, not taking her eyes off him. Magic and the sword are things one cannot do without. But suddenly the sword breaks, and a shard of the blade flies straight at the girl. She covers herself with her hands and trembles with fear, but the shard does not touch her. It hits the protective barrier. Savinia spins, confused and not understanding what is happening, while Sue silently watches her from behind the barrier dome. She, with a trembling voice, asks the hero when he did it, and he calmly says, "I set the protection right at the very beginning." He explains he could not expose them to danger. Savinia smiles contentedly, and says that after all this magic, even breathing has become difficult for her. Rude also smiled, said that he often uses magic. He managed to repel the attack, so he asks if he won. The girl calmly acknowledges his victory. admitting that she completely lost and never thought that mithril weapons could be broken. And the boy, lightly waving his hand, replies that it happened by accident. She laughs and tells Rude that he is a very funny guy and that she likes him. He just notices that she has lost that former spark. He wants everything to stay as it is, but he does not understand what exactly the problem was. The boy does not understand at all what a fetish for adaptation is. Anne says that they are all just as dependent on change as the guildmaster. Rude jokes that their guild is full of eccentrics. Savinia approaches the boy again and extends her hand to him. Says that she hasn't seen a good adaptation in a long time, adds that it was fun, and jokes that next time he should take it more seriously. But the boy stubbornly refuses. He no longer wants to deal with this demonic saber. He refuses. The guild leader, barely holding back her voice, confessed to the boy that she once thought she could handle a sword, but now she realized she lacks experience. Ruja shrugs indifferently. He has often heard this. They say that if an inexperienced person holds a demonic sword, their consciousness submits to the power of the sword, so the fact that she operates it effortlessly indicates she fully controls the situation. She declares, this time the test is over, and asks Enoch to hand her the guild medal. The girl extends a box to Ruddy. Inside lies his adventurer certificate, Roland. Now his adventurer rank has increased. He is very happy about this. He feels that he acted correctly. Now he has become an adventurer again, but this time only by his own strength. Finally, Red feels like a real person. Everyone looks at the hero and rejoices at his success. Sue jumps for joy and exclaims that she will follow him anywhere. A beautiful girl appears. Savinian tells the boy that the squad commander may appear at any moment. She promises to write him an official recommendation and give him the opportunity to meet personally. Below, people were bustling and attending to their own affairs. Rudy sat down at the table with Sue to find out if there was any work for him, starting from the E rank. The girl hands the boy several papers and offers him to look at the tasks instead of her. Both were staring at the papers, and the task of collecting herbs attracted them the most. Inan warns him, if he joins the elite A-class squad, he will be able to receive more missions. She understands that everything is too simple right now, but he will have to endure it for the time being. But Rudd is still grateful to them. At least there is some kind of work. A woman in armor entered the room, elegantly leaning on her sword. She looks at the boy with curiosity. Their gazes meet. Red turns away and says that it seemed to him as if their gazes had crossed. Enan turns and shudders with excitement. Suddenly the same girl runs up to the boy and, full of energy, loudly asks, "Is your name Rudd?" The guy confirms, but this unexpectedly close distance slightly confuses him. She joyfully took his hand, as if she immediately understood and knew everything. The girl, twirling her fingers, quietly confesses that she feels some special aura in him. Rudd is ashamed, and still feels cold, hard armor on his hands. But suddenly Sue interrupts their conversation, pushes between them, waves her hands, and loudly shouts at the girl, "Who are you?" Savinia emerges from behind and says that this girl is named Lily Ruru. She approaches her and, with a firm look, introduces herself as the leader of their elite team, Brave Fang. Rudd looks at them again in surprise and asks again. The girl explains that this is exactly the squad for which she wrote a recommendation. Lily Ruruk grabs her heart and happily starts writing on Twitter that she can no longer wait to meet. She thought it would be tomorrow and that she learned everything from Enan. Rudd irritably glanced at Enan. She, hearing such words, was suddenly surprised and a little confused. Sovini reports that maybe the information came not from Enan but from someone else. Lily Ryuber, shining with joy, runs up to the boy and bombards him with questions. How he managed to defeat Savinia, who was in a state of crazy adaptation, and so quickly overcome this territory, bypassing the mage killer, and Rudd, confused, is silent. She does not stop bombarding him with questions. Einan tries to stop her with a wave of his hands, until Sue intervenes and says that Rudd is already tired. Lilu Ryu apologizes for her persistence and explains that she is just very excited. She extends her hand and says that the decision has already been made, and on behalf of the entire brave team of Boarfangs, they sincerely welcome him among them. Rudd cannot believe it. The girl came from far away just to invite him. For him, this is a new squad and a new place. The boy thoughtfully recalls the former team, those with whom he spent so much time, and feels that they have probably already moved on with their lives. He convinces himself that this is not his place, but suddenly sharply covers his mouth with his hand. Stress overwhelmed him. Nausea suddenly hit. He unexpectedly vomits right on the girl, and she grimaces with disgust. Out of fear and surprise, she screams so loudly that her scream was heard even on the street. Then the boy wakes up, puts his hand on his forehead, and suddenly realizes he feels unwell. He got up from the couch and, looking around in surprise, noticed that he was in the guild's common room. Sue runs up to him, beaming with joy. Savinia also notices that the boy has already woken up. The boy instantly falls to his knees before the girl and fervently begs her to forgive him. She firmly stands before him and asks, "Don't apologize anymore." Rudd rises from his knees, not believing his own eyes. He thought that Lily Ruru would be terribly angry, so he still can't understand what is happening. He immediately notices. In this dress she looks incredibly noble. Red sat opposite the team, and the girl noticed how the word team painfully resonated in the boy. So she wonders, is there any reason for such a reaction? Rudd insists that Lily Ruru is the true leader of Team A, both inside the group and beyond its boundaries. He understands that staying silent would be rude, so he says that maybe they already know anyway. Rudd was an adventurer at a great height. Lily Ryuber exploded. She doesn't believe that he could really have been expelled. For her, it is simply impossible. She slammed her hands on the table. Strong emotions overwhelmed her. Einen stretched out his palms forward and tried to calm the girl. She had never met a wizard of such a level as Mr. Rudd. In Hyeri there was some strange rating system, and Lily Rudd just grumbled to herself that it would be impossible to find a replacement. Savinia honestly admitted. She herself understood nothing. Either the group members were so cool that they didn't need Rudd's help, or they simply didn't understand anything at all. At that moment, Sue was happily running around Lily Ruru, holding hands with her and joyfully repeating that she was right. Rudd really is the best mage, while Rudd himself stood confused and watched everyone. He is shocked. No one is blaming him. On the contrary, everyone is angry at Chan and others because they sent him away. Inan painfully admitted that friends he trusted very much had abandoned him, and that hurts him the most. Lily Rue asked if that was why he gets upset when he hears about the team, and everyone around supported and comforted Rudd. The boy didn't even suspect that such a thing could happen. He had no idea that people could be afraid of teams. He was eager to help Sue with her problems, but he didn't even suspect that he himself was too traumatized for that. The girl approached and gently ran her hand over the boy's head, encouraging him. Rudd, looking at the smiling Sue, pondered. Who is really in charge here? He still did not know. Carefully getting up, Lila Ruru nodded and said she would come a little later. She suggested, "Next time we will discuss Rudd joining the team." He looked at the girl in surprise and wanted to say something. He thought and bowed his head. They were an A-level squad. They needed real talents, so choosing him made no sense. There was something wrong with him. Suddenly Lily Rue pointed at him with her finger. In the reflection of her eyes, he saw his own face. She immediately rushed to him with a passionate speech, persuading him not to invent unnecessary problems. He needed to believe in himself more, because he deserved even a higher rating than A. And it was him she needed, no one else. She shyly said that, moreover, he was the first to pour that filth on her. Rudd decided to take this responsibility upon himself, but still could not understand why the girl was blushing so much. She took his hand, smiled, and said she would invite him to their team anyway. The boy could not believe it. Even though he was kicked out, he still managed to start everything from scratch. And since then the hero decided to live his own way, just as he himself wants. But suddenly the boy got so upset that he felt sick again, and it all repeated. The ill-mannered boy vomited once again right on the girl, just like last time. The Kingdom of High Air, its capital is Tiru. High in the mountains towers the most successful city. Here is the main office of the Adventurers Guild. In a large pit on the throne sat a serious man and looked down at the boy standing a little aside. He says it very seriously. The Golden Rose was downgraded to rank B, and the boy is very surprised. He shouts at the man, emphasizing that they are S rank, not even A rank. So why did he make such a decision? Suddenly Trana knocks the guard off his feet, does not let him get up, and sternly reminds him that he is standing before the king and must behave respectfully. He is furious. He is S-class, yet he was defeated so easily. But he understands, they really are very strong. Meanwhile, Lila Ruru and Sue return home and apologize for disturbing everyone. Rudd asks them to wash their hands well, and the girl happily rushes to do it, noticing that he behaves like a dad. The girl is amazed. There is water in this house at all, almost like in a magical castle that wanders. The boy blushed because of such a comparison and awkwardly frowned. The carriage, which during the journey through the sky changed several times under the influence of spells, became a real cozy home where one could rest. He hid it outside the city, but because of its huge size it still caught the eye. The boy learned that rumors about him had spread and realized this could attract unwanted attention. Rudd himself does not know for sure whether he overdid it by too strongly reinforcing the walls against monsters and bandits, so later he will try to resort to the magic of disguise. But the boy met different people. Before he lived alone and devoted all his time to studying magic, so the new acquaintance became a breath of fresh air for him, and the boy sat at the table. Rudd turned to Sue and, taking today's catch from the bag, prepared it for her. She looked happily at her plate. wished him a good meal, and began to eat, which surprised Lil Ruru. She was quite confused seeing what Su was eating and immediately began to ask Rud what he was feeding her. He quietly explained that this dish was made from wild boar meat, swordfish fillet, and forest worm liquid. The girl pondered. The girl savored the food and said, "It is very tasty." Lily Ruru blushed and asked, "Is this medicine?" Red inquired of the girl whether they had something similar in Rolandi. She smiled and replied that these are called supplements, but in reality, real food. He is sure. These things are made for quick muscle pumping, and the guy had long taken it for granted, because it is a true trait of Highland culture, where a strong and powerful body comes first. According to him, former partners also received it coldly and asked him to keep it away from them. The girl was turning an oval piece between her fingers, and said she had never seen anything like it before. She could not believe it was really meat. Red grabs the piece and with a sly smile tells that he made this supplement by extracting energy from the python's meat using magic. Lila Ruru grimaced. It was still hard for her to believe that such a thing was even possible. The guy says it is simple. By combining bioenergy and magic, energy is easy to extract and compress, and the meat will not spoil, so this method is perfect for dungeons. She asks if it is really possible to do this with magic, and Red replies that he learned it himself, although even he does not fully understand how he manages it. The guy offered her to try them herself, since she was already here. She pondered, watching how Su chewed appetizingly. But I still dared, took a piece into my mouth, felt that they were not scary at all, and ate it. I even gaped in surprise. It turned out to be extraordinarily tasty. Rudd was proud of his invention and smiled, while Lily Ruru ate and gradually realized that the dish was even moderately seasoned. The boy also grabbed a few pieces and ate them to restore his magic. The girl constantly praised these dishes and sincerely admitted that it was very hard for her to stop eating. But he says, this is not enough for him. She says that it is tasty and is confident. One can eat well with this. Hitting the boy with his hand, he says that chewing is also an important part of the meal, and this greatly surprises the boy. She asks to look at Su and pay attention. It seems she is a werebeast, so it is better to give her meat. This is important not only for nutrition and taste, it also strengthens the jaws, like in little Ruru. And in a moment he threw another piece of food into his mouth. Ruda pondered her words. Maybe she was really right about chewing. But watching how the girl continued to eat with appetite, I became doubtful. Is she really speaking sincerely? It was already dark outside. The fire in the fireplace crackled cozily. Su stretched and yawned, and she slowly began to feel sleepy. Ruth hugged her tightly and whispered that tonight they would go to bed early. Lily asked Ruth once again if that man was really not her father. After dinner, the rough Bataku tells her about magic, and then puts her to bed. This is how every evening goes since they met. The boy looks at her and involuntarily thinks that after such a busy city walk today she is tired, because she is still shy of strangers' glances. The girl wakes up, yawns and still sleepy, suggests to the hero to go to the bathroom together. He calmly agrees, lifts her onto his shoulder, and carries her to the bathroom, telling Liller that he will go wash Su, and the girl should wait for now. He offers her to feel at home. She calmly settles on the sofa and continues eating. Suddenly food spilled from her hands, and she, as if stunned, asked if they would really go there together. The boy froze and looked at the girl in surprise, and then he answers her, "We will go there together." Lily became embarrassed, did not know what to say, and finally whispered that it was a bad idea. They are the same age. Her words touched Red. She thought deeply, but still could not fully understand what exactly the problem was. Liller blushed and exclaimed awkwardly that they would both be ashamed to be left without clothes. The boy still could not understand what the matter was. He patted Su on the head and calmly said that they always bathe together. The girl agrees with the boy's words. She really likes it when he strokes her head, and she says it makes her happy. But the girl still does not calm down. She shouts that they need to wash separately and pushes them in different directions. Su, with sincere surprise in her voice, asks the girl, "Why can't they wash together?" She also clearly says that there are many reasons for this, and it is simply wrong. The girl happily waves her hands between them and suggests everyone go swimming together. Both ask again, stunned. They cannot believe their ears. The girl shines and happily says that then they will not be alone. Rudy awkwardly hugs her and says that it is a bad idea. He is convinced. Su is still a child, but Lulu is already a beautiful girl, and this is very dangerous. The boy returns to the girl and, as if searching for words, explains what he meant. But he notices. She is standing and blushing like a tomato. Suddenly, she starts waving her hands and awkwardly says that it doesn't bother her at all because she was just about to take a bath. Ride, with surprise in his voice, tells her that her whole face has turned red, and adds, if she doesn't want to, she shouldn't force herself. Lily assures that she is not doing anything by force. It's all just to win him over. The boy smiles sincerely upon seeing her reaction. He still doesn't understand why Liluru came to his house. In fact, she just wanted to invite him to her team. The girl said that if they plan to be friends, they need to get to know each other better, and added that she will still help him get into her team. He notices that she even brought her night things and decided to stay. The girl looks at him awkwardly, not knowing where to put her eyes. Such a turn of events is a real surprise. Sue suggests, let's all go wash up in the bath together. Both looked at the girl in surprise. Rod shyly refuses, says it's not the best idea, and Lily just froze in shock and remains silent. He glanced at the girl and suddenly realized. His suspicions were confirmed. He also feels awkward. Next to her, he feels completely uncomfortable. Lily Ruru thinks that the shared bath is a good opportunity for them to establish contact, and it should not be neglected. Red asks the girl what she thinks about it and if she would mind taking a bath together, and she replies a little awkwardly that she is fine with it. She takes the hero by the hand and decisively decides to go bathing together. Red realizes that now, it seems, he has no right to refuse. The bath was so cramped that only 3 people could fit in it. But anxiety did not leave him, so he could not concentrate. He did not take his eyes off how the girls behind his back were tidying themselves up. Lily called him and quietly asked him not to look at them so intently. He awkwardly turned away and continued to change clothes. The boy took a liking to Lil Aru. She seemed extremely cute to him. Soon Rudd appeared at the door and asked if he could come in. The bathroom door opens. New people enter inside. All 3 enter the room. The girl cannot hide her surprise. What a big and beautiful bathtub they have. Sue sleepily rubs her eyes and snoops around looking for her towel. She blindly grabs a piece of fabric, thinking it is a towel, pulls it towards herself. And suddenly it turns out that Lily was wrapped in this fabric. The towel slips off her, and she suddenly finds herself completely naked. The boy looks at Lily. Their eyes meet. She froze in place, embarrassed and completely unsure what to do next. After that, she blushed deeply and glanced at Rudd. Her towel lay on the floor and no longer covered her body. She gasped, and her embarrassment and discomfort burst out. Soon Sue was already lying in a warm bed and quietly snoring, gathering strength after a hard day. Rudd managed to pull himself together and not do anything foolish. He lay next to the girl who seemed to be already sound asleep. Lily Ruru lay nearby and did not take her eyes off the boy. Rad said that Sue is sleeping soundly. The girl was quietly silent, thoughtfully looking at the ceiling. Thank you for being so kind to Sue, talking to her and taking care of her. The boy noticed that she is very cautious with others, but still tries to trust them. He frankly admitted that he is terribly worried about her. Rudd remembers Sue, and sincerely hopes with hope in his heart that later she will have more people she can trust. Her calm face in sleep convinces him that this is really possible. Lily sincerely admits she did nothing special at all. Sue is just such a friendly girl. Rudd sincerely hopes that this is true. He looks enchanted at the sleeping Sue, and then he turns to Lily Ruru, who is lying next to him in bed in her pajamas. Suddenly he remembered what happened in the bathroom, and he felt embarrassed. She looks at him shyly, and he quietly apologizes for everything that happened today. She turns away and lies on her back, covering her face with her palms. She feels very embarrassed. She not only got dirty with vomit, but also a stranger saw her without clothes, and the boy gestures with his hand as if to say he saw nothing, to at least lighten the mood. The girl sighs wearily, sharply, but to cheer herself up adds, "I am very beautiful." She nervously moves her legs under the blanket. Then she curls up into a ball and says that her first experience was taken away. Now she doesn't even know how she will be able to look everyone in the eyes. Lily claims that Rudd is the first who refused to join their team, but Rudd mentally denies this. He actually refused nothing. The girl says that now he must take responsibility and she will definitely call him again. Rudd froze in confused silence, not knowing what to say, and then finally speaks. He really wants the girl to continue being friends with Sue. She, interrupting this boy in surprise, asks why he suddenly had such thoughts, but he does not stop and explains that, as he already said, Sue is very cautious. But she really is happy when she spends time with Lily. She stretches her hand out from under the blanket and decisively says that she did not come here to be friends with Sue. She once again reminds that she already said before, Lily always gets what she wants. The girl quietly asks if she can take his hand. She doesn't know how the boy's day went, but she just wants to conduct a small experiment. The redhead was so surprised. No one had ever offered him their hand before. If he refuses this gesture, it will hurt her a lot. So the boy carefully extends his hand in response. In the night silence, their palms seem to search for each other and touched. Lily quietly laughs and assures the surprised boy that this is not an invitation to the team, but just a friendly gesture. They still gently hold hands. Red does not feel hostility, only warmth that gently envelops. The moon shines in the night sky and its silence calms. They looked at each other and laughed. The light from the window quietly falls on their faces, and the boy lingers his gaze on the beautiful lily. He believes one day he will deserve such a hand, the hand of a reliable friend. With smiles on their faces, they both fall asleep, still holding hands. Ruth reads newspapers, and Seo sits next to a rabbit with horns like a unicorn. Around Ruta's house, which stands alone in the middle of the field, there was complete silence. Rut and Seo stand in front of the forest, tense and ready. They were given an E-rank task, to collect medicinal herbs nearby. This is his first job as an adventurer in Roland, and he is wildly happy about it. In this area, a forest filled with strong magic. Perhaps that is why very valuable herbs grow nearby, in the meadows. But monsters live in the forest, so the guild takes care of it, and only adventurers of rank C and above are allowed in. So, being hunters of rank E, they decided to go collect these plants in the meadows near the forest. Rud turns to Sho. "It is dangerous here for you. Better wait for me at home." She confidently says that she will stay close to him and, as an assistant, wants to help him with the work. The boy was already expecting Suda to go with him, so he was not surprised at all. He asked her if she wanted to help him collect herbs. She gladly agreed, and they got to work together. Looking at the girl, he felt the familiar fear of groups of people returning. Red understands that cooperation with Seo does not extend to her. They are not a team, just friends. Or maybe it's all because she constantly calls herself an assistant, and he, unconsciously, begins to think the same way. Or perhaps it's all because he considers her his friend. But he himself doesn't fully understand and cannot say for sure. Suddenly he remembered, Lily also found a job. She will have to explore a complex dungeon where no one has stepped before. Rude remembers how she assured that this research area was safe, although in reality it was quite a dangerous dungeon. She added that she would feel calmer if the boy was next to her. The girl smiled and promised that by the next trip she would definitely conquer him, and the boy was simply bewildered by this promise. She warned Rad, be ready and wait for it. Lily puts all her strength into the team's task, and he equally tirelessly carries out his mission. He tells Sue that first they need to decide which herbs exactly they will look for. The girl listens carefully to the elder's advice as if absorbing every word. He hands her a sample and shows what the plant they need to find looks like. This time they will look for an annual plant called Ivasun. When the warmth comes, it is covered with small flowers, and at that time its leaves become the most nutritious. Red suggests she look at a real plant to make everything clearer. He uses the magic of sight. After this, all the necessary grass on the ground suddenly shone. The boy thought, if Sue saw this, it would be easier for her to search. He approaches, leans down, and plucks some grass. In his hands he finds Ivacent, and the man explains that it is at this time of year that such pink buds appear. Sue sniffs the bud. A familiar special scent of the plant immediately ignites memories. She jumped up cheerfully, said she would search by the scent, and dashed across the meadow. The boy sniffed the plant and paused for a moment. Everything seems strange. If you think seriously, people with lupine traits should have a very sharp sense of smell. And if this trait appeared in Sue, her sense of smell could be 100 times more sensitive than that of an ordinary person. She gladly extended her hand with the plant and exclaimed, "Found it!" The boy was amazed by her speed. Sue ran up to him with a bunch of grass, and he just stood there, mesmerized by her wonderful sense of smell. She burst out laughing and asked the elder, "Am I doing everything right and do I deserve praise?" He encouragingly patted her on the head and sincerely assured her she is truly the best. Sue found rare herbs one by one, trusting only the scent that still lived in her memory. She has her own bag for things, magical. Inside there is a simple spell to increase space, so many different herbs fit inside. She's very eager to gain experience, so today they dedicate this time specifically to that. He patiently teaches her and reveals all the subtleties of gathering. He asks Sue to carefully watch the buds. Small ones are more valuable for medicine than large ones, and also, the thicker the leaves, the better. Ruda advises choosing only the best plants so as not to gather too many. The girl listens attentively and understands everything perfectly. The man told her more and more, and Sue gradually got used to it. His heart was glad when she tried to find medicinal herbs and help. But one day he got too carried away. When the meeting was almost over, Rudd was already about to leave. Suddenly he felt danger and became very nervous. Suddenly a powerful spell struck from the depths of the forest. He was always on guard, ready to fight monsters, but here, surprisingly, there was no one. In the forest, footsteps and the roar of a monster thundered. It was not only strong, but also extremely dangerous. Soon the girl noticed that the boy was nervous, and she became anxious. She did not understand what was happening. He quietly warns her. Today they have already finished gathering herbs. He asks her to stay close, and she, like a shadow, obediently stands behind him. Rudd sets up a magical protective shield, and at that moment a huge monster crashes into him. The boy froze in surprise. He saw a boar, and what a gigantic real giant it was. He is tense to the limit, because that is not all. As if a dark demonic force attacked the boar, it growled threateningly and dug the ground with its hooves. Covered by a wave of cursed energy, it seemed to turn into a zombie, and its danger level jumped to Class A. The boar opens its huge, slobbery mouth, and Sue is so frightened by this that she starts squeaking. Although they were safe, the huge boar roared even louder and began pounding the barrier. Rudd tried his best to stay calm, calmed Sue down, and resolutely promised that he would protect her under any circumstances. She clung to his back and shouted that she was not afraid because there was a boy nearby who would protect her. Rudd asks her, "Close your eyes and wait. It will all be over quickly." He is ready to rush into battle with the monster to protect Sue. He looks at the monster with a flash of rage, ready to tear it apart for daring to scare Sue. At first, he decided to make it shut up, so he directed magical silence power against it. The boar fell silent. It could no longer roar or screech. For him, this was just a light punishment for scaring Sue. He no longer wanted to hear those screams. So with one move, he decided to relieve it of the pain from the curse. The boy calculated everything and decided what needed to be done. After all, behind every zombified monster, for example the boar, there must be a reason for this curse. This time he understood that everything was in the head. That was where the curse was locked. He decided to separate Boria's head from the body using the magic of an air blade. And at that moment, the beast's head flew off the body. Then he tamed the destructive curse by slowing it down with his magic. He also removed the curse. With a stone expression on his face, he finishes cleaning with the last move and immediately begins freezing. In the end, he tears this curse off himself forever. It took him only 2 seconds for all this, and he still had 2 seconds left. He uses magnetic magic and attracts everything around. Rudd again uses slowing magic, and along with it launches magic that casts a curse. He placed a temporary seal to bind the spells and prevent them from falling apart, and thought that this would be enough for now. The source of the curse is hidden far beyond the forest boundaries, and fortunately the forest itself was almost unharmed. He stroked Sue on the head, and assured her everything is fine, it's already behind. Rudd decided to tell the guild about everything that happened, and the girl sincerely thanked the boy for protecting her. Red quietly and calmly smiled. He reminded her of her help with gathering healing herbs and thanked her. Sue blossomed with a smile of happiness, and they joyfully set off home together. And Rudd thought that something really strange was happening in the forest. He never found out completely what else could be hiding there.